moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you. This is NTV.
Good evening, it's the 9th of the first month of 2020 and this is what we have for your 9 o'clock bulletin.
Tonight, the pungent details of how 3 billion shillings for the expansion of the ICD was diverted and how powerful families benefited from the scandal. Also tonight, bone-chilling scenes at Ndoni Primary School in Kitui. Why was this teacher killed?
Walimu wetu Kitui mzima, Kenya mzima wanafanya kazi kwa uoga.
Matokeo sio juhudi ya mwalimu peke yake.
A mix of outrage and concern as TSC acts. Plus, the capital is crumbling to dust. Who will pick up the pieces?
I direct that the same is revamped and proceed its work together with the county executive.
Nairobi ready to move on without Governor Mike Sonko? And also tonight, as a peculiar darkness sweeps over the skies in the north, a community fights a losing battle with the relentless pests.
Kukabiliana nao kwa mkono ama kwa chapa ama nini inakuwa ngumu. Lakini hapa hatujarusha tear gas kama wanavyosema wengine.
Now, insect scientists are sounding the alarm for the rest of the country.
Tonight with Mark Masai.
Good evening once again. Thank you for joining us on NTV tonight. And with me on the sign language interpretation is David Agondoa. And it is worth noting as we start this bulletin that the Malkia Strikers have made us proud as they've qualified for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics after beating Nigeria 3-0 in their final match, or winning 3-0 in their final match of the qualifiers. That's earlier on in the evening. So we definitely wish them the best as they look forward to Tokyo Olympics 2020. On to a story that we have been following at least from yesterday, and exclusively so. The rot at the port is stinking a bit more tonight. The irregular tender which the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is probing is worth 3 billion shillings. Baringo Senator Gideon Moi and his wife Zara are the owners of a company with significant shares in a firm that is at the heart of the alleged inland container depot scandal. Police say the money that was initially meant for the expansion of the ICD was diverted by the Kenya Ports Authority, which later controversially leased private companies to offer peripheral storage facilities for inland-bound cargo. NTV's Seth Olale is on that story tonight as well. Be giving us the details to that in a moment. I'm told it's not ready right now. Now, the Teachers Service Commission has withdrawn 6 teachers who have been working at Ndoni Primary School in Kitui County following the cruel murder of one of its teachers at the school. Daisy Mbadhe Mbaluka was killed and burnt by people believed to be parents at the school. 2 suspects are in police custody in connection to the incident.
The cruel murder of Daisy Mbadhe Mbaluka, a teacher at Ndoni Primary School in Kitui, has pitched a dark cloud over the teaching fraternity in the country. Mbaluka, who was reportedly taking her children to school early in the morning, was ambushed by individuals suspected to be parents at the school. They killed her, burning her to ashes. They killed her, burning her to ashes. 2 suspects, Wambua Mwangangi and Chris Muli, who are believed to be part of a mob that killed her, were arraigned in Kitui in connection to the murder. Residents say a day before her murder, a group of parents stormed the school and attacked her and her colleagues, demanding for their transfer over what they claimed was poor performance by the school in KCPE. The 2 will remain in police custody for 3 weeks as investigations continue.
Tunajua ya kwamba walimu wetu Kitui mzima, Kenya mzima wanafanya kazi kwa uoga. Hii ni kwa sababu mwalimu wetu Daisy Mbadhe aliuliwa kinyama kusipokuwa na makosa yoyote, na tutaendelea kuomba serikali imfanyie haki mwalimu wetu.
The Teachers Service Commission has now withdrawn its 6 teachers who are working at the school and vowed not to post any teacher there until the security of the teachers is assured. This is not the first time parents are attacking public school teachers over poor performance. Kisii County Assembly Deputy Speaker Davins Onuso led residents in storming Kiobegi Secondary School, demanding for the removal of the principal over underperformance. Police had to intervene after the group disrupted learning.
For the last 4 years, we have been having underperformance in Kiobegi Secondary School. We have had a principal who has stayed there for more than 11 years as we speak. What we are trying to ask here, where is justice? When other principals who are performing from this area are being delocalized, an underperformer is still remaining within the station.
Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers KUPPET and Kenya National Union of Teachers NAT have condemned the incidents.
Matokeo sio juhudi ya mwalimu peke yake. Matokeo ni juhudi la wazazi, wanafunzi, walimu, serikali na washikadau wengine. Kwa hivyo hatuwezi kuruhusu ama kukubali walimu wetu kupigwa na wazazi pako kauawa.
We urge the Director of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti, to diligently investigate cases in at least 6 other counties where parents protesting poor examination results have invaded schools and attacked or evicted teachers.
Recently, parents stormed Kugononyi Primary School in Mwatate, Taita Taveta County, demanding for the removal of the school's head teacher over underperformance and poor management of the school. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Back to a top story where we were reporting that a rot at the port is stinking a bit more tonight. The irregular tender, which the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is probing, is worth 3 billion shillings. Baringo Senator Gideon Moi and his wife Zara are the owners of a company with significant shares in a firm that is at the heart of the alleged inland container depot scandal. Police say the money that was initially meant for the expansion of the ICD was diverted by the Kenya Ports Authority, which later controversially leased private companies to offer peripheral storage facilities for inland-bound cargo. NTV's Seth Olale now reports.
More details are emerging on the identities of shareholders of companies that allegedly benefited from an irregular tender awarded by Kenya Ports Authority for decongesting traffic through offering storage facilities at the Inland Container Depot in Nairobi. Michel Courts Limited, which is associated with the Moi, Ndegwa, Saitoti and Nachai families, is among the firms that was granted the tender. Highcrews Limited is the second largest shareholder of Michel Courts, and according to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, Baringo Senator Gideon Moi and his wife Zara are the shareholders, each owning 50% of the shares. This family-owned firm owns 267,272 ordinary shares of the mother company. Despite the Moi family denying knowledge of investing in Michel Courts Limited, documents in possession of authorities investigating the ICD scam indicate that Highcrews Limited was registered in April 2000 with its registered address at Scripture Union Center, Hurlingham. The company is listed as dealing in land purchase, lease and transfer, as well as property, construction and contracting business. Senator Moi had denied any links to the company in question and also refuted that he appeared at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations for questioning on Wednesday morning.
Gideon Kipselei Arab Moi has never been a member of Michel Courts, has never had interest at KPA.
The powerful and influential Ndegwa family that has more than 5 subsidiary companies that own Michel Courts had also initially denied involvement with the embattled firm. However, Michel Courts Investments Limited, which is the biggest shareholder of Michel Courts Limited, owning 534,544 shares, is recorded in DCI documents as being owned by James Philip Maina Ndegwa, who is the chairman of NCBA Bank, coming up as the central figure at the Michel Courts enterprise. According to the police, the genesis of the alleged scandal began in early 2018 when the National Treasury set aside 3 billion shillings for the purchase of an extra piece of land for the Inland Container Depot to ease congestion. The government had just issued a directive demanding that all imported inland-bound cargo should be transported through the standard gauge railway and get cleared at the ICD within 30 days. KPA is, however, accused of diverting 2 billion shillings for the dredging of the Mombasa port and only retaining 500 million shillings for the original purpose. Investigations have also established that the beneficiary companies were likely not among the 30 pre-qualified firms that had applied for the storage services.
Michel Courts and Nairobi Inland Container Terminal, the two companies are the center of investigations regarding the internal container depot scandal, are still operating in a bid to decongest the ICD in Embakasi. Seth Olale, NTV, Nairobi.
Is it a case of let Nairobi move on without Governor Mike Sonko? The County Assembly has passed a resolution to revamp the Nairobi Regeneration Committee to spearhead development in the absence of Governor Sonko. Speaker Beatrice Elachi ruled that the team will work alongside members of the County Executive Committee to ensure that operations in the county run smoothly. NTV's Silas Apollo has been following up the ongoings from City Hall and now joins us with an update. Silas?
In essence, what the County Assembly did today is that it provided a temporal solution to the leadership crisis that is facing Nairobi City County. Remember, Governor Mike Sonko has been barred from assuming responsibilities in office by the court following his case, which was filed by the EACC. And of course, the fact that Nairobi City County does not have a deputy governor, that means that then there's nobody to be able to act in the office of the executive. And so there's a lot of concerns that had been raised in the sense that services in Nairobi City County had been grounded. Remember, the month of January is usually the busiest month in Nairobi, because a lot of activities are taking place, a lot of businesses and transactions are taking place, which are the biggest revenue earners for the city county. Another development we expected today was that the Assembly would pass a resolution for the nomination of the Deputy Governor, of course, which had been given and forwarded, the name had been forwarded by Governor Mike Sonko. Speaker Beatrice Zelaki says that they are waiting direction from the Supreme Court, a direction from the Office of the Attorney General, and even the Jubilee Party before they're going to be able to proceed with that matter. So we expect that to come up in February when the House resume its session.
Due to the good work that has been done by the Nairobi Regeneration Committee, appointed by the Excellency the President, I direct that the same is revamped and proceed its work together with the County Executive to ensure effective service delivery to the residents of Nairobi.
A 75-year-old Italian national is being detained at the Mtwapa police station in Kilifi County for allegedly defiling a 15-year-old girl. Pancino Renato was arrested yesterday in his apartment in Mtwapa. NTV's Kevin Mutai reports that he will be remanded, for 2 more days as police firm up investigations and conduct a DNA profile of the suspect and victim.
Pancino Renato, an Italian national, was presented before Senior Resident Magistrate David Odhiambo at the Shanzu Law Courts to answer to charges of defiling a minor, but he disputed the charges as read out to him by the court clerk.
It's true or not true? Yeah, it's true. They're saying he's paid. They have a big family.
He also denied that he inappropriately touched her. A child protection volunteer claims that on the 6th of January 2020, the suspect took the girl to his apartment in Mtwapa, Kilifi County, and gave her 3,000 shillings to buy school uniforms and as registration fees for a new primary school she was to enroll in. But all this without her parents' consent.
Amerudi kwa mzungu, akifika kwa mzungu akapatiwa yogurt. Alivyokunywa yogurt ilitoka kwa kitchen ikiwa imefunguliwa. Alivyokunywa yogurt hakuna kitu kingine alipata, alijua kwa sema alilala na kalala tu hivyo. Asubuhi hiyo time alipopatikana ni kama alikuwa kila kitu kimeshakuwa, kwa sababu asema alipata hakuwa na nguo yake.
She says there have been a number of similar cases in the area, vulnerable girls falling prey to sexual predators, usually older men. These men are said to be working with a group of women who lure the girls to their trap, promising a better life with the foreigners. They also reportedly extort money from them to cover up the ills. Those who do not yield to their demands end up in police cells.
Wazungu wanachukulia ile advantage ya kuwa basi Mtwapa venye kuliambiwa kuko na ukahaba mwingi ama kuna hiyo raha, commercial sex exploitation inakuwa juu sana.
Wazazi waweze kujua mienendo ya watoto wao. Manake wakati mwingine utapata kama sasa watoto wametoka na wazazi wafuatilia, hawajui mahali watoto wako na ile eneo, kwa sababu hawa wazungu mageni wa mara nyingi wana tabia ya kuwadanganya watoto wale kwa kutumia kuwapa pesa.
Accused to be taken back to Mtwapa police station for DNA profiling. Accused to be taken to the hospital. His passport will be deposited in the court. Mentioned this matter on 13th of January for further directions.
Police officers also say the Italian's visa expired on the 29th of January last year and has been in the country illegally. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Sad state of affairs there, and some may say the same for the operations in the capital, that is Nairobi. And we just mentioned what the MCAs were meeting today to sort out in terms of the vacuum that is in leadership with no governor. And although there has been a nominated or someone who has been put forward by the governor as a deputy, that is still in question. But if you look back into his history, that is the county governor. From accusations of fraud and drug trafficking to embezzlement of public money, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko's history is troubling. Sonko climbed the political ladder from Member of Parliament for Makadara to becoming a Nairobi senator and finally occupying the governor's seat. But just where did all the deception begin? NTV's Mel Miendo reports.
Mike Mbuvi Sonko has been of interest to detectives for a long time. It's his past dealings that led police to arrest him in Voi on 6th December last year. And when he appeared in court, his posture and demeanor was very different from the flamboyant Sonko that Kenyans know. His criminal record is dated back to the 90s. In March 1998, Mike Mbuvi Sonko was convicted for failing to appear in a Mombasa court for the hearing of 2 cases, one in which he was charged with 7 offences. Come April 1998, Sonko escaped from lawful custody while undergoing treatment at the Coast General Hospital, but he was arrested later in Nairobi. It's unclear how the case of his escape was disposed of by the Chief Magistrates Court in Nairobi as well as the Senior Principal Magistrates Court in Kibra. Money is thought to have changed hands. 2 years later, in 2000, Sonko was charged in a Nairobi court for forging documents purporting to be purchase orders from the Ministry of Home Affairs, National Heritage and Sports. He faced 3 other counts. In 2010, Sonko was among 6 members of parliament and a Mombasa tycoon named in connection with drug trade. The then Internal Security Minister, the late George Saitoti, informed Parliament that Sonko, Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho, former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, and politician Harun Mwau were being investigated for alleged drug trafficking. The names were said to be in a dossier from the U.S. Embassy, which the then American ambassador, Michael Rannabaga, handed over to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Sonko dismissed the report as false. 2019, the scandal that would finally bring Sonko down, and it involved the 357 million shilling garbage collection tender. Documents from the EACC show that the tender was awarded to a company known as Hardy Enterprises, whose directors were said to have been known to Sonko even before he was elected governor. The directors were paid the entire amount in 5 months. A forensic examination of the firm's accounts showed that 3 million shillings was transferred to an account held by Sonko at Equity Bank. The governor is accused of receiving a total of 39 million shillings from a long list of firms. In December 2019, the Asset Recovery Agency received a temporary order to freeze about 15 accounts belonging to Sonko. 9 banks have since been summoned and will appear in court next week to disclose whether they have received copies of the order. Sonko also moved to court, challenging the order, claiming that freezing his accounts was oppressive and unfair. Mel Miendo, NTV.
To a different county dealing with something else, something of a plague, you would call it, Meru County. And it has denied that locusts have invaded the county, with the leadership saying that the locals are, or what the locals are seeing are simply grasshoppers and not locusts. You might ask what the difference is. Well, grasshoppers don't fly as far and are said to exist in more solitary phases and don't pose quite a threat to the crops. This morning, reports also indicated that new swarm had been spotted in Isiolo and Meru counties as some parts of the country battle against the swarms of desert locusts. Insect scientists are warning that the entire country is at risk, of invasion because the rains have created the perfect breeding conditions that desert locusts need. Zainab Wandati reports that you having them as a meal is actually one of the recommendations by scientists.
Dumburu in Igembe North, Meru County. Over the last 2 weeks, Meru has been on high alert for desert locust invasion, and when these hungry insects showed up, the locals were worried.
Asige walifika hapa juzi na tayari sasa wameanza kutuangamiza.
Sasa tunaomba usaidizi kwa serikali tusaidie.
The county, however, says that the locals have no reason to worry yet because these are actually not desert locusts but grasshoppers.
Wadudu wenye tumewaona hawafanani na wale ambao tumewaona awali katika vyombo vya habari.
On Thursday, Isiolo became the 5th county to be invaded and more than 3,000 acres of vegetation in Merti and Garbatula decimated. Since the first swarms were reported in the country on the 28th of December last year, farmers and pastoralists have watched helplessly as the insects ate their livelihoods away. The police even attracted ridicule from Kenyans for using whistles, shooting and throwing tear gas at the locusts.
Let's not condemn them. We are using some physical methods. Even with birds, we include scaring.
Wananchi wetu wanajaribu kuua tu hivi, lakini namba ni kubwa, idadi ni kubwa hao wadudu. Kukabiliana nao kwa mkono ama kuwachapa ama nini inakuwa ngumu. Lakini hapa hatujarusha tear gas kama wanavyosema wengine, hatujapiga risasi kama wanavyosema wengine.
The government dispatched planes to spray the insects. Scientists say that while this may be effective, targeting the breeding grounds will be best because the whole country is at risk of invasion.
The females, when they have mated and ready to lay eggs, they will identify the soil that is soaked, that they can penetrate using their abdomen. When there is no wet soil, they will not lay their eggs.
Each female can lay up to 300 eggs. The Entomological Society of Kenya suggests that besides spraying, the government should also consider containing the locusts in specific areas, using pheromone traps to pull the males together, and also serving them on your meal plate.
So these insects are very nutritious. I can eat them myself. Our fellow entomologists are here, they can eat. And if we can eat other Kenyans.
In 1954, about 10 billion locusts bundled in 50 swarms invaded Kenya and destroyed every crop in their path. This was the first reported invasion, and since then, there have been a few others. Desert locusts are a migratory species of the grasshopper family that are yellow in color and threaten the food security of communities all over the world.
Because this particular insect is found in the Sahel areas of Africa. So if we don't speak to each other, we are not going to solve this problem in future.
The name desert locust simply means that these insects live in the desert when they are not migrating, and the particular swarm in Kenya now migrated from Yemen last year and spread into other parts of the world, including Somalia and Ethiopia, before they arrived into Kenya. Zainab Wandati, NTV, at the National Museums of Kenya.
And to my colleague Regan behind the camera, it sounds more like desert locusts, not desert locusts. He sees no problem with them, as this is an abundance of manna from heaven, so to speak. On to another story now. The fight quite over child support can be a scathing one, emotionally, psychologically, and financially. The process of agreeing on fair payments with a divorced spouse can be a porcupine of pain points. In some cases, child support orders are mismatched with the capacity to pay for the non-custodial parent. What then happens when a man cannot entirely afford the expense of his child? NTV's Zainab Ismail puts this question in a legal perspective.
The 1,000 words spoken by this picture of a woman grooming her groom are divided into paragraphs of ups and downs, punctuated by happiness and chapters untold. Henry Kamwara Muturi and his second wife living the moment, immortalized in a picture, but outside the frame of this picture is a difficult life. An administration police officer in Thika, Kiambu County, Henry's life took a turn after a Thika court ordered him to cater for the needs of his ex-wife, Nelia Sunduku, and that of their 9-year-old child. A lump sum of 84,000 shillings to his ex-wife and 9,000 shillings monthly upkeep, plus additional money for school fees. Money he says he simply just cannot afford.
Hata ile pesa nalipwa saizi haiwezi ikagharamia familia yangu na igharamia hizo pesa zote ambazo nimeandikiwa hapo.
But what is life like for parents who have so little, yet the demands are overwhelming?
I opt to quit the job kwa sababu sina namna nyingine. Siwezi kuwa nafanya kazi na siwezi hitimu mahitaji hata ile the basic needs za watoto wangu.
What the act goes on to say, the Children's Act, is that the amount that you're being asked for should not exceed 45% of what you earn annually. So if it is true indeed that his salary is only 20,000 and he has got another family, which means he has extra obligation on that salary, then to ask him to pay anything over 20,000, in fact anything over 10,000, would not be a possibility. You see, because orders have also got to be practical.
In many separation cases in court, it is mothers who are seeking orders for their children's fathers to cater for their young ones' basic needs. And with men, especially in the African context, being seen as the primary providers, those who are unable to meet the demands in many cases find themselves feeling stuck.
There is the issue of the status in the life of people, but there is also what really guides somebody. Is it the feeling that the magistrate gets? Is it a weighing situation this way? And I think that it's important to support those courts by having extra done on the statutes.
Article 53 of the Constitution provides that every child has a right to parental care and protection, which includes equal responsibility of the mother and father to provide for the child, whether they're married to each other or not.
The whole issue of child support is not supposed to be a punitive measure. Right. It's really supposed to just be sorting out the best interests of children in families. So logic also and being practical and being reasonable all come in.
Jaja anafaa kuangalia side zote mbili. Wenye my husband anapewa pesa zenye anapewa na zenye anaweza pewa Nelias na zenye tunaweza baki tukijikimu kimaisha.
Zainab Ismail, NTV.
We're 26 minutes past the hour, and Zainab Ismail's report brings us to our first break on NTV Tonight. Stay with us.
Your multi-bet is on its way to hit the bullseye. Oh, you lose one match, but only in Mozart. Mozart Refund, lose one game, get your cash back. Make a decision. Terms and conditions apply.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu ya kizidi, muone daktari.
I am pleased by just the simple little things of life. And I promise if you take the time, you won't be looking for too long before you find this little secret of mine.
Every day, NTV News Team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation,
police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Where is Anna?
Why are you laying the blame on me? Aren't you the one who wanted to get rid of Anna?
I will give you 3 days to return my money, Natasha. If you don't, I will kill your son.
Natasha Calderon is the name. I want you to find out how her life has been 18 years ago when she lived in America, together with her son.
Mom, look. What? Anna texted us.
A church?
Anna! I said open the door!
Just a second. I'm feeling a bit sick right now. Just wait.
Welcome back. And this has been a talking point for many, and this week especially. Lawyer and activist Miguna says he is still in Berlin, Germany, waiting on the Kenyan government to obey court orders allowing him back in the country. He says he remains unbowed and will not yield to calls to have him get his travel documents afresh. Miguna still blames the government for his woes since he started out on his journey to Kenya on Tuesday. His lawyers in Kenya will be looking to the courts tomorrow in an effort to compel the government to facilitate Miguna's entry into Kenya. According to Miguna, he has satisfied all regulations to confirm his Kenyan nationality, and all the government was doing was frustrating his re-entry 2 years later. A family in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County is seeking access to a government pathologist to assist them establish the cause of death of their 10-year-old child who passed on in December. They say the boy died after receiving a beating from neighbors who accused him of theft. However, an autopsy report from the very hospital he was admitted at after the alleged beating indicates that he suffered multiple organ failure attributed to a chronic infection. Lois Wangoi reports on the conflict revolving the death of the boy.
At Mzee Chongo Kandie's home in Kapchumbi village, Kerio Valley, a sense of anxiety is palpable. Their son, Cornelius Korir, passed away a day after a beating by neighbors accusing him of stealing 1,000 shillings.
Kidogo akapiga na huyu mwingine akawachiliwa na huyu naumizwa kabisa.
Korir was taken to the Iten Referral Hospital for treatment of injuries he sustained. He died a day later. An autopsy exam found bruises on the body, but in a twist, the pathologist says the injuries did not cause his death.
We provided them with a medical officer, and they came in with their own pathologists, and it was established that the possible cause of death was multiple internal organs failure, which was probably attributed to chronic infection.
Now the family is questioning the integrity of the pathologist.
Report ya daktari ya postmortem anaandika vitu vingine, anasema enda TB, chronic pneumonia. Yuko mtu anashikwa na TB mbili Jumatatu na Jumanne naenda Kuba.
Police say the attackers have been arrested and are being held on assault charges. They will only prefer murder charges if a second postmortem proves Korir succumbed to the beating, they say.
But as soon as we get the results from the postmortem, we are going to make arrangements for alternative charge.
The family is now seeking assistance from the government pathologist to investigate the cause of death.
Nataka niombe serikali atabutie daktari ya postmortem akuje saidia sisi kwa mambo ya postmortem mara ya pili.
They are free to bring in another pathologist, and if they can also get a government pathologist, they are free to come and carry out the another postmortem and get to see whether they come up with the different results.
In the meantime, the body of Cornelius Korir continues to be preserved at the Iten Referral Hospital, awaiting an agreement into his cause of death before being laid to rest. Lois Wangoi, NTV, in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet.
To another bizarre story. Imagine losing your child, and after going through the motions of grieving and preparing for a dignified send-off, you are told your son is alive. This is not fiction, but the reality for family in Bita village in Embu County's Mbere South Sub-County, where it was celebration over the realization that Stephen Kivuti, who was set to be buried today, was alive. Margaret Wanjiro reports on what was a resurrection of sorts.
As he walks around the compound, James Nyaga cannot hide his joy after discovering that his son Stephen Kivuti Nyaga is still alive. Stephen was set to be buried today. Everything from the coffin to the funeral program were ready. Last week, James suspected his son fell ill due to alcohol-related issues and rushed him to the nearest hospital.
Hospitali ya kwanza tulimpeleka Kirithiri. Tukampeleka Kirithiri jioni kama saa 10 hivi. Wakatuambia sasa tumeshindwa na huyu mtoto, mpeleke Embu General. Ndio tulitoka huko Kirithiri tukampeleka mpaka General.
On Friday, when he went to visit his son at Embu Teaching and Referral Hospital, his son was not on his hospital bed. James says the person on the next bed informed him that his son had been carried away by a vehicle. However, he did not specify which vehicle it was. This led him to assume that his son had died.
Alikuwa kwa kitanda ya namba 2. Tulikuwa na huyu na ule. Sasa hiyo kitanda nilianguka hapo kwa maana mimi sikukuta mtoto yangu.
Upon heading home and breaking the devastating news to his family and friends and the Mbita Burial Welfare Committee, the chairman summoned the officials and burial arrangements started. All was set for the burial set for Thursday. This was until Wednesday when they visited Embu Hospital to pay the final bill. Here they were informed that the 28-year-old man was alive.
Kwenda kuingia kwa hospitali, tukaingia pale kwa OD2. Sasa tukaulizwa msaidiwe na nini? Tukamwambia ule sister tusaidie na fomu ya ule na faili ya ule jamaa alikuwa huku ward na ameaga. Yule sister alikuwa anamtengeza saa 5. Akaingia, kauliza na hii faili mnatafuta kwa wingi na mna hii naona nyote mmekusanyika hapa. Kwani ni ya nani? Akaambua ni ya Stephen Nyaga, ni ya Stephen Kivuti Nyaga. Akaambua na hiyo huyo si nimemdunga saa 5.
Residents were so overwhelmed with joy and decided that the 50,000 shillings that had been raised for the funeral should be left to the family. Efforts to seek information from the hospital management about the whole saga were not forthcoming, as all the hospital staff remained tight-lipped. But for now, James says he is just happy that his son is alive. Margaret Wanjiru, NTV.
Stephen's story and the happy turn there in that narration brings us to our next break, beg your pardon. More reports from the business desk as well as the sports coming up.
It feels good, Coca-Cola and food Monday to Sunday. We're all chasing taste. Let's just grab a bite, the excuse to drink Coca-Cola every single day. So we feel forever be real, together stay free whatever ends. No, we can't stop, we wanna taste the feeling. Nothing can ever bring us down. Taste the feeling.
PesaLink is the cheapest way to send and receive money instantly into your bank account, anytime, anywhere. Use PesaLink today in 3 easy steps. Step 1. Select PesaLink on your bank app or USSD. Step 2. Select either send to phone or send to account. Step 3. Input the phone number or account number to send money to and confirm the transaction. PesaLink. Easy, affordable, instant.
This festive season, get a decoder with subscription at an unbelievable festive offer of only 1,499 shillings. Children can enjoy amazing cartoons on Nickelodeon, while for women, great soaps and drama on Novella E+ and Rambo TV. For men, it's Arsenal and Manchester United. You can also pay 1 month and enjoy 2 weeks free on a higher bouquet. For more information, call 0719 077 077.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Look at this. And this. So this? Why is this so? The culture of good driving and road safety starts with attending the right driving school and receiving the right driving instructions. Now you know. AA Kenya.
Register today for your driving classes. Dial *650#.
For 100 years now, AA has walked with you throughout the journey. Automobile Association of Kenya. You never drive alone.
Welcome to the business news. In a bid to give the National Bank of Kenya, NBK, a sound financial footing after taking it over, KCB has injected 5 billion shillings into NBK. The cash injection will help NBK meet its capital adequacy requirements besides having healthier coffers. KCB opted to have NBK run as an independent subsidiary rather than merge the operations of the two banks, given the reputational damage that NBK has suffered in recent years. KCB offered to acquire NBK last year in April and concluded the transaction in September. The Board of Directors of the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation has appointed Nkorogamba Mwebesa to replace Rose Mambo as Chief Executive with effect from the 10th of February 2020. Here's Alex Mwangi with more details of the transition.
When Nkorogamba Mwebesa takes over as the Chief Executive of the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation, he will be literally getting back to familiar territory at the Nation Center in the heart of the capital city's central business district. Mwebesa served as the CEO of the Nairobi Securities Exchange between 2005 and 2008, back when it used to be housed at Nation Center. He has extensive experience in the capital markets and investment banking and is joining the CDSC from Stanlib Kenya, a subsidiary of Liberty Holdings, where he has been serving as managing director since 2016. Prior to that, he was the chief executive of SBG Securities, a subsidiary of Stanbic Holdings. Mwebesa will replace Rose Mambo, who left the CDSC last year in September after a 12-year tenure at the helm of the company. Mambo steered the CDSC during a season that necessitated a number of key changes to operations. Before her exit, I asked her what she considers as her landmark achievements.
Automation of the market was a game changer for the market, because there's no way we would have managed the kind of volumes that we see going through the market right now if we were still in a manual environment.
While the Nairobi Securities Exchange, with which the CDSC is joined at the hip, got demutualized during her tenure, she oversaw the shift towards a more efficient form of trading.
Immobilization of the securities and the complete dematerialization of the market, meaning that the market is completely electronic and anybody wanting to interact in the market has to do it electronically.
CDSC's company secretary, Hilda Njeru, has been holding fort as the acting CEO since October and will continue to do so until Mwebesa takes over. The CDSC is a company that provides automated clearing, delivery and settlement facilities for transactions carried out at the NSE. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Cotton farmers in Samia sub-county in Busia are set to benefit from a 30 million shilling boost from the government to revive Mulwanda cotton granary. The granary, which is among those that collapsed during the liberalization of the textile industries 3 decades ago, is set to get a facelift as part of the push to revive cotton production in the country, and in the county to be exact. The government has committed 1.3 billion shillings to rehabilitate several other dormant areas in different parts of the country. It has also committed to scout for markets for the fiber to ease the burden of securing markets for farmers. This way, the cotton is likely to fetch better prices. Now, last year, the cabinet approved commercial farming of genetically modified cotton hybrids, which are touted to be more resistant to pests.
Potential yake ni ekari 10,000 ambayo inaweza kutengeneza ama kutoa more than 6,000 tons per year. Rivertex, it cannot get enough raw materials right now. It has very modern machines which have costed billions of shillings, and if you produce that cotton, you don't have to worry where you're going to actually sell your cotton, because the market is ready.
Fishermen plying their trade at the Indian Ocean will now have to register themselves with beach management units and submit their contact details in a move aimed at enhancing their safety and creating a database of those involved in the activity. Speaking in Malindi during the flagging off of 100 beneficiaries of the maritime training on deep fishing, Fisheries Principal Secretary Japheth Ntiba said the registration will help account for missing staff in case of a mishap. The directive follows the unfortunate incident where 4 fishermen got lost in the deep sea for 18 days after their boat ran out of fuel as they were fishing. Tiba further said that the government will repossess all fish landing sites that have been grabbed.
They must keep record of all fishers who are leaving and going to the sea, so that also when they come back, we can be able to report that they have come back.
And that's that from the business desk.
Molfix breathable surface developed with Airsoft technology is very soft and provides the best Molfix skincare.
I've found the best diaper for my baby's sensitive skin.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Hatutakuwa tukipotezeana muda rafiki yangu.
Akili yangu ina mambo mengi bwana.
Sasa hiyo akili yenye mambo mengi ndio ingefanya kazi haraka haraka iyapunguze na kuyaondoa.
Hoteli imeamua kwamba itafuta kazi wafanyakazi wote walioanza kazi karibuni. Kisha baadaye itatujulisha kama itafuta kazi wafanyakazi walioanza kazi kitambo.
Aha, shamba wenyewe macho meupe kama msiokuwa na haya. Mwaiuza. Hamkakutana nao kwa mnadani.
Aliyekuambia shamba itauzwa mnadani ni nani?
Angelikuwa ni mtoto wangu mimi, usingenilaumu. Sonia aambiliki.
Lakini mtoto hukunjwa akali mbichi.
Huyu wako amekauka.
Welcome back. The University Academic Staff Union has issued a 7-day strike notice from Monday if the government fails to honor the collective bargaining agreement, which was concluded and signed in October 2019. WASU is accusing the government of diverting the monies meant for the CBA to other activities. NTV's education reporter Sharon Baranga has more.
It is an all too familiar song, now associated with an all too familiar cry.
We shall never be divided.
The bone of contention this time, a collective bargaining agreement signed last year.
It has come to our attention that the government has unilaterally decided to divert the budgetary allocations for the CBA to purposes for which it was not meant.
To date, IPCF and government has not told us why they have not implemented the CBA as was mutually agreed. Instead, we are being taken round in circles.
WASU says the Salaries and Remuneration Commission had approved their CBA for registration.
In December, IPCF told us that the money that was available was 8.8 billion. Yesterday, we were taken aback that now the ministry is saying that they did not budget for the money. I want that 8 billion even today. If within 7 days, we shall not have got money in our accounts, we shall have a strike. And get it from me, the University Academic Staff Union does not just threaten.
The strike notice from lecturers in public universities comes at a time when the University of Nairobi is trying to put its house in order. On the 18th of this month, Professor Stephen Kiama will be sworn in as the Vice-Chancellor at the institution. Last year, the University's Council rejected Professor Peter Mbithi's request to serve for a second term at the institution. Professor Kiama faces a daunting task in turning around the fortunes of Kenya's flagship university. Shrinking revenue streams, diminishing interest in self-sponsored programs, and a seemingly never-ending management dispute are some of the challenges the institution has been grappling with. The chairperson of the University Council, Professor Julia Ojiambo, has outlined a commitment to strengthening the university's funding structures, growing support for research, improving the quality of programs offered, and bettering the teaching and learning environment.
Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Cabinet Secretary for Water Simon Chelugui has sought to assure Nairobi residents that despite the leadership wrangles in the county, there will be no disruption in water provision in the county. He has also assured the residents that cartels stealing water from the county will be dealt with. Martin Mwangi has more.
The drama that the capital city is hosting in its leadership has raised concerns that service delivery will be affected. Water and Sanitation Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says that it's not the intention of the ministry to take up the responsibilities of water provision in Nairobi, but sought to assure Nairobians of the supply.
There will be no disruption of water services in the city and sanitation services. We have called the water company to restate and come up with an arrangement that ensures sustainability and continuous flow of water.
The CS also says that the old infrastructure is being rehabilitated in a bid to ensure there are neither leakages nor theft of water.
There are those who are disrupting public supply or stealing our water, causing what we call non-revenue water. And those ones we are on the watch out, and we have asked Nairobi City to work hard and reduce that non-revenue.
He says that the current water demand is above 800,000 cubic meters per day, whereas the daily supply capacity stands at 526,000 cubic meters. He has called for effective water rationing to ensure there is clean water for all. However, he says that this is set to change with the construction of the Northern Collector Tunnel, which is expected to produce 140,000 cubic meters a day by the end of the year, and Karimenu Dam, which will produce 70,000 cubic meters per day. Despite the current water rationing in Nairobi, the Cabinet Secretary for Water has assured Kenyans that in the next coming years, they'll be able to achieve universal water coverage in line with Vision 2030. Martin Mwangi, NTV, Nairobi.
In a bid to make loans more accessible and favorable to Kenyans, SACCOs are coming up with innovative ways to attract clients. The Nation SACCO has now introduced a long-term loan that is payable within 84 months, which means that the monthly rate of repayment is significantly lower than what's offered by others. That is one of the salient points that emerged during a speech by the SACCO's finance manager, Maurice Mutai, when he presented a check for a fully paid trip to Mombasa to Henry Owuor, courtesy of the Nation SACCO's deposit mobilization campaign, which has run for 3 months. Farmers in Sengoni village in Taveta sub-county have this time around encountered huge losses from their main cash crop of bananas after River Lumi suddenly changed its course and dumped water on their farms. The farmers say the losses incurred stem from the fact that their banana plantations are now unsuitable for the market. NTV's Bill Otieno reports.
This is the state of affairs in Sengoni village on outskirts of Taveta town. This area is popular with its mass production of bananas throughout the year. Farmers are counting heavy losses after River Lumi, which originates from Tanzania, burst its bank and flooded their farms. Acres of banana plantation have been destroyed by the water. Philip Kilonzo is one of the farmers who have been hard hit.
Sasa ndizi zilikuwa zinatoka nyingi, manake watu wa Nairobi walikuwa wanakuja kununua hapa, wanapakia wakati treni inafanya kazi. Wanakuja wanapakia kama bogi 10 zinaenda Nairobi. Magari 5 kila siku mwaka mzima. Sengine 8 kwenda Mombasa. Ndizi ya Mombasa ndio na Ukambani kote huko. Wanategemea Taveta. Kilio changu ni kuomba serikali kwa uwezo wake ilio nao, ije tusaidie kuchimba mto kuanzia pale ilipoanza kufungia mpaka pale mwisho.
The damage caused by the flooded river has affected the local communities since the farmers rely heavily on bananas as a source of livelihood.
Tunataka kujenga, tunataka kupeleka watoto shule, tunataka kwenda college, tunataka kufanya kila jambo, lakini sasa inasikitika, shamba kama ile yangu ilikuwa inaniingizia kwa mwezi tuseme shilingi 20,000, lakini kwa mwezi sasa inaingizia shilingi 5,000 ama hata 3,000.
Tunatoa ndizi kule chini tunaleta mpaka hapa. Sasa hata tukienda tukiuza ile ndizi hakuna kitu. Mimi ninanunua ndizi hapa shambani nikipeleka Mombasa. Kuna wale wanaoingia shambani wakitoa barabarani wakija kutuuzia. Juzi nimetoka Mombasa, tumefika Mombasa, ndizi zetu wamezikataa. Wamesema hawataki kwa sababu zimeiva vibaya, zinarojoka.
The Taita Taveta County government is aware of the situation and is keen to address it.
Hii hasara ni kubwa na tunaiona in terms kama county tunaiona kwa sababu it is even forcing the county to inject into bursaries, giving wananchi bursaries, ambayo ni kitu ambacho badala county kupeana bursary, hii pesa ambayo inapeana bursary wananchi wangekuwa wanaipata kutokana na kilimo.
Time for another break on NTV. Tonight we'll be looking forward to the sports news with some good news when the Malkia Strikers performance and headed to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
APU offers international students opportunities to study at an affordable cost. APU is recognized for its commitment in offering top-notch digital technology courses. For free application services, contact our local representative or visit their offices in Nairobi and Mombasa.
Every day, NTV News Team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Prepare yourself for a new live bet experience. Top minute, boosted live bet odds. Mozart, make a decision.
Where is Anna?
Why are you laying the blame on me? Aren't you the one who wanted to get rid of Anna?
I will give you 3 days to return my money, Natasha. If you don't, I will kill your son.
Natasha Calderon is the name. I want you to find out how her life has been 18 years ago when she lived in America, together with her son.
Mom, look. What? Anna texted us.
A church?
Anna! I said open the door!
Just a second. I'm feeling a bit sick right now. Just wait.
And them say here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, welcome the Rasta youths. I and I start recruit soldiers for Selassie army. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger, welcome the Savior, welcome the Rasta youths. Then I will access and they can the
NTV Sport in association with Mozart Bet. SMS NTV to 29990.
Hello there, welcome to NTV Sport. My name is Brian Otwal.
The national women's volleyball team, the Malkia Strikers, coached by Paul Bitok, will play at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. Bitok's charges confirmed qualification after thrashing Nigeria in their final qualifying match in straight sets of 25-15, 25-21, and 25-12. Kenya, who saw off hosts and arch-rivals Cameroon 3-2 in a dramatic decider on Tuesday, qualified for Tokyo unbeaten after victories over Egypt and Botswana. This will be the third Olympics appearance for the Malkia Strikers, who featured at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney and the 2004 Olympics in Athens. Congratulations to the girls. They are moving on following the ratification of his world half marathon record. Jeffrey Kamworor is now eyeing the Tokyo 2020 Olympics marathon gold. Kamworor shares a camp with his mentor, Eliud Kipchoge, who won marathon Olympic gold 4 years ago. He hopes to better his personal best time of 2 hours, 8 minutes and 13 seconds, a time set in his victory at the New York Marathon last year. Kamworor was speaking at Kipsinende Primary School in Uasin Gishu County, where he led fellow athletes in awarding the best 2019 KCPE performers in the school. In the motivational visit, Kamworor was accompanied by former world half marathon champion Sally Chepiego, former world 3,000 meters steeplechase champion Hyvin Kiang, and Olympic 1,500 meters champion Faith Kipyegon.
Currently, the only medal that I'm lacking is an Olympic medal, and it's really my aim and my focus that I'll work at this year to make to the Kenyan team.
So ilikuwa ni lengo letu kuwapa motisha wanafunzi wetu ya kwamba kila kitu yanawezekana. Ni kitu tu ya maana kwao ni kutia bidii katika masomo yao na kufanya mtihani, na mengine yote ni lazima wawajie wazazi kwa sababu ni jukumu ya wazazi.
And heavyweight Kenya Police Captain Elia Joey and super bantamweight boxer Rayton Okwiri, who turned professional, headlined the list of 27-strong provisional squad for next month's African Olympic qualifiers. Other top boxers named in the squad that has numerous Kenya Defence Forces boxers are national flyweight champion Shafi Bakari and national lightweight champion Nick Okoth. Christine Ongare and Elizabeth Andiego headline the women's list. The team, which starts residential training on Saturday, will then be trimmed down to 13 boxers, 8 male and 5 female. Africa has 3 slots in 8 weight classes, apart from super heavyweight and heavyweight. In the Rio 2016 Olympics, only 3 boxers, Benson Gisharu, Rayton Okwiri and Peter Mungai, qualified.
Naomba nikipata tu nafasi ya kwenda kucheza kule, ingawa nitatafuta sana, maana pia mimi nataka nende niwakilishe, sababu nataka nipate medali.
Na imani kwamba pale nilipoachia katika hizi michezo ya kufuzu kwenda Olimpiki nitaweza kuzidisha zaidi ya hapo, ili niweze kupata hiyo nafasi ya kwenda huko Olimpiki na niweze kufanya mengi na mengi zaidi, kwa sababu hiyo ndio inakuwa ndoto ya kila mwana sporti, amali atakaofikia ni hapo Olimpiki. Kwa hiyo ndio ndoto yangu kubwa.
Begi yangu ni ati lazima to qualify. Hakuna shortcut. Amen. Shortcut hakuna. Na ni nyinyi mtatufanya to qualify. Makochi mko nao wa maana, mko na viongozi wa maana, na tunawaombea. So mimi sioni kitu itatushinda hapa. So all I can say is all the best.
And the participation of Kenyan swimmers at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics is in doubt after the International Swimming Federation initiated suspension proceedings on the Kenya Swimming Federation due to failure to hold elections. Kenya has 2 wildcards to the Olympics whose participation is now in jeopardy. Patrick Moya has been the man at the helm of the Swimming Federation, but his reign has been marred by disputes. In 2017, an interim management committee was put in place following wrangles which ended up at the Sports Dispute Tribunal. The Federation last held its elections in September 2014, but despite constant notices by the world governing body, they have failed to hold new elections.